Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome. Welcome, George. Welcome everyone. We're just going to give everyone a few more seconds to join, then we'll get started. If you have the ability to turn your camera on, all the better. If not, fully understand. Welcome. All right, let's get started. So welcome to today's Atticus Advantage Series webinar, Attorney Time Management, your first step to financial success. Today, we're going to really take a dive into a couple different strategies and tools when it comes to your time management and really your focus management. And we only have 30 minutes, so we're going to try to get through a lot of material rather quickly. But if you do have a question at any point during today's call, feel free to use the chat function to send that question. And on the call with us today is Abby, our assistant marketing manager here at Atticus, and she'll see your question and she'll relay it to me. You can also use the hand icon to indicate if you have a question or want to make a comment, and feel free to do that throughout today's webinar. You do not have to wait until the end. So very good. I've introduced Abby. My name is Daniel Struna. I'm an attorney. I'm an Atticus practice advisor. Been with Atticus for 7 years now, and my focus is on helping attorneys work in some of the core areas of their practice that we're going to talk about today, one of them being time management. So I'm happy to be here with you today. A little bit about Atticus. Atticus is a coaching organization focused on helping attorneys, specifically primarily attorney owners across solo and small law firms, build great practices and also build great lives. And that's what the focus has been for over 3 decades now that Atticus has been at that work. Our intention today is to really truly help you get more focused. So there's so many different things that you could be doing at any given moment, any given day, any given week. And today we just want to talk about, again, some tools and some strategies to help you get more focused on what will give you the most movement forward in what you're trying to accomplish in your firm. A couple different things looking at these growth cornerstones. So Atticus, we believe that the foundation of any great practice, of course, starts with great legal skills, but to build a really fundamentally fantastic firm, you have to look at not just the legal skills, but also your business skills. And so we focus on the things that will help further your revenue, your income, the control that you have over the firm, and your freedom, your ability to take the trips that you want to take in life and do the things that you want to do. And so we focus on a couple different areas, 4 core areas, what we call the growth cornerstones. The first is what we're talking about today, which is time and focus management. The second is attracting those high value clients, which is the marketing component. The third is the staffing component, really working on building a fantastic and a great team. And then the fourth is that profitability and cash flow component. Those are what we call the growth cornerstones. Again, today we're going to focus on the first of those, which is your time and focus management. So just a quick layout of our agenda today. Again, we don't have a lot of time, but we're going to try and get through these 4 different agenda items. The first is something called the time template. The time template is truly the cornerstone of Atticus's approach to time and focus management. And so we're going to take a deep dive on that. Then we're going to talk about something called the power hour and how embracing the concept of the power hour can have a huge dramatic impact on not just your time, but really every aspect of your practice and how you get things done. Then we're going to take a look at something called the daily focuser, one of my favorite Atticus tools and strategies for remaining and staying focused on a daily basis on the things that are really your highest priority and the highest and best use of your time. And then we'll take a quick look at a couple different things that you can do when it comes to handling interruptions and some strategies that you can look at. in that area of your practice. So just a quick comment on multitasking. So the time template takes an approach that is really the opposite of multitasking. And we do that because multitasking, it used to be all the rage, right? You go back 10, 15, 20 years, and multitasking was seen as a positive thing, something that we should embrace. But over time, research has shown that multitasking, it truly is an illusion. It really is not the most efficient way or productive way to approach your day. And so we're going to talk about a tool today called the time template that helps shift you away from a multitasking approach and really look at how can you look at your time on a daily and a weekly basis specifically, and look at it in such a way that you're truly focused on one type of activity at any given time. And so the way that we recommend that you do that is by using something called the time template. Now, if I put up any forms throughout today's webinar, those will be made available to you both in the chat, or if you're viewing this as a recording, you'll be able to download these forms as well. So the time template takes again, it's really the polar opposite of the multitasking approach. It really takes a block and tackle approach to your time and focus management. And the way that you look at this is you're looking to group like tasks together and tackle those. So blocking like tasks in one portion of your day, and then tackling those particular tasks at that time, at one given time. And the idea again behind this is, if you're approaching your day in a reactive style where the first thing you do when you get to your desk in the morning is you sit down and you just start responding to the things that are coming your way. You open your email, you check some emails, somebody calls in, you take that call. You think of a matter, or a client calls in, and so you shift and you start doing whatever it is that client asks you to do. That approach is what we call a very reactive approach to your time management. And if you're operating in that type of with that type of approach, it can be a very chaotic, frustrating place to operate, because you're constantly being shifted from one task to another task, and the end result is that your productivity, your effectiveness, and your ability to get things done at the end of the day is minimalized. Using something like the time template, getting this in place effectively allows you to approach your day in a much more proactive style. And so rather than, sitting down at the desk in the beginning of the day and just reacting to the things that are coming your way, with the time template approach, you've already pre-planned, you've done the planning ahead of time, you've strategized ahead of time how your day is going to flow, when you're going to get to the most important things, and how you're going to get to them. And so you have time blocked out for particular types of tasks. So what are the tasks that you block things out for? Well, it will be somewhat dependent on you and your practice area, but I would say there are some categories or types of tasks that can and should be blocked out on your time template. And so the time template is it's a weekly kind of snapshot of how your weeks flow on a daily basis. And it's not your calendar per se, but it almost overlays on top of your calendar, right? And so once you've created your ideal time template, you can use that to say, this is the way my days are going to be structured going forward. And so you can see here, this is a sample time template of an attorney, and they've blocked out the most important things throughout the day that they need to do, right? So they have time blocked out for seeing clients. They have time blocked out for their production, doing the legal technical work that they have to get done on a daily basis. They have time blocked out for responding to phone calls. They have time blocked out, very important, and one that often gets missed, for marketing, right? So they've taken a very proactive approach to say, if I want to focus on growth, if I want to focus on marketing my firm and doing the things that will grow my firm revenue-wise, I have to spend some amount of time, right, doing the marketing of the firm. And so if it doesn't end up on your schedule, if it's not something that is on your calendar, the chances, whether it's marketing or something else, the chances that it will actually take place are very minimal. And that's especially true with marketing, because marketing is one of those things that it is not necessarily actively knocking on your door, right? Clients are calling in, that's an active, ask for your time. If you have staff are going to be asking for your time. Emails come in, you feel you have to respond to those right away. Marketing is one of those things that it is not actively knocking your door until it shows up in your cash flow, and then it is knocking at your door, but by then it's almost too late. You're already in a bad situation in that place. So again, we're looking at blocking out the things on a daily and a weekly basis, looking at a weekly schedule. What are the things that are important for me to have blocked out, knowing that I'm going to, during that time, so this attorney during their production time from 9 to 10:30, they're going to spend that 90 minutes specifically and only doing the legal technical work as an attorney. During the time between 1 and 5 on Monday through Wednesday, this attorney has designated specifically for client meetings. And so they're not going to do other types of tasks during that time period. Now, if you're looking at this and you're saying, this all sounds great in theory, but it would be very difficult to implement this in reality. I will not disagree with you. And I will say most of the time, when somebody goes to implement the time template, initially the likelihood that you will do it successfully the first time around is very low. So just get that out of the way. But I will say if you stay with it and you try again and again, you will make progress. And one approach to this is not to say, okay, I'm going to try and implement a full, time template approach starting tomorrow, and write out my ideal week. But a better approach, I think, is to take one block of time, one type of block, one block, probably production, and specifically work on implementing one block of time on a daily basis, week after week. And once you've secured that in place as a habit, and you're feeling and seeing the benefits of doing that, you'll be motivated and get momentum to start adding in other blocks of time as well. And so the first block that I would recommend that you work on is called the power hour. And so the power hour is that 60 to 90-minute block per day specifically for production. And so you can see this attorney again, they had theirs in the morning. That is pretty common. Most people in general do their best work and their best thinking in the morning hours. And so the power hour is just saying, okay, I currently have a very reactive style to my time management. What I want to do starting today is take a 60 to 90-minute block and set that aside on my calendar on a daily basis, specifically for production time. Now, one of the things that you may want to do is have a 15-minute meeting, if you have staff, before you go into that power hour, specifically so that you can field any questions that they have. And you can also use that 15 minutes to delegate any work to your staff. So the purpose behind that is, pretty simple, right? You don't want to go behind closed doors in your uninterrupted time for 90 minutes and have your staff, not having something to do. And so you can delegate tasks right before you go into that power hour, and your staff can bring any questions that they have to you before you go behind closed doors, before you go into that power hour. After the 60 to 90 minutes of your power hour, you can do a check-in with the team, right? Take 10 or 15 minutes, especially initially, see if anybody needs anything from you, see how that 60 to 90 minutes went. Are there any fires that need to be put out that came up in that 90-minute period? And they can be addressed. And then another block of time that works really well with the power hour one of the things that attorneys get concerned about if they're behind closed doors and unavailable for 90 minutes is, missing phone calls, right? And so my suggestion there is block another period of time, 30 minutes or whatever really works for you, but at some point after your power hour, that specifically is for returning phone calls that were missed during the power hour. So that way you have a strategy in place, you have a plan in place where if somebody important is calling in and you're behind closed doors during your newly implemented power hour, you have a specific block where you have designated that you're going to call those people back. Abby, I'm going to pause there and just see if there's any questions as of yet.
I don't have any that have come through the chat quite yet.
Okay, very good. So if you do take the recommendation to set up that block of time, after your power hour, where you can do those return phone calls, taking it one step further, let's say your power hour is from 9:30 to 11, and then you designate 11:30 to 12 as your return phone call time. If you know that you're going to get on average 1 or 2 phone calls, during that power hour that are going to be missed, you can have the person that answers your phones use this type of script where they're basically saying, you're not available right now. I know that they would love to speak with you. They can give you a call back at 11:30 or 11:45, what works best for you. I really like this approach because it will make you comfortable, right? You know that your clients or potential clients are being well taken care of. It makes the client happy because they're given, even though they're not getting you in the moment, they're getting a scheduled time where you're going to give them a call back. And if you do have staff that's answering your phone, it makes them comfortable because they have a script and that they can follow, and they have something to give that person, right? I can't give you the attorney right now, but I can give you a time with them set up for, an hour from now. And so usually this type of approach works really well and helping everybody involved feel comfortable with the attorney going behind closed doors for 90 minutes and not being available. Because usually one of the biggest concerns is, how is the practice going to survive with me not being available in the that short 90-minute period? Great. A bonus, right? If your staff person could actually see if they can, take care of whatever that question or concern, or somebody else in the firm could as well. We won't take a deep dive there, but okay, very good. We're gonna keep going. So the time template is as you could see, it's a weekly approach, right? So it's a time management strategy tool to figuring how you're going to schedule how you're going to manage your time on a weekly basis. And once you've created your ideal time template, and once you've gotten your power hour in place as a habit and you start adding other blocks of time, it becomes kind of the flow of how your week unfolds. And your weeks actually get a lot more predictable and more productive, which is a great thing. On the daily level, this is something called the daily focuser. And the daily focuser is a fantastic Atticus tool that will help you build in some really great habits that maybe you're not doing right now. But it also really helps you get focused on what are the most important things that if you're able to accomplish these things by the end of the day, it'll be a great day. And so you can see where that shows up on this form right there in the middle where it says today's top 3 objectives. That's really just answering the question, if I were to accomplish these 3 things by the end of today, it would be a great day. And then identifying and getting clarity for yourself, what are those 3 things? And if you were to complete those 3, what are the next 3? So kind of a bonus 3. What I really like about that component of the daily focuser is that, one, it only takes a few minutes at the beginning of the day to fill this form out. So probably 5, it says here 15, but 5 to 15 minutes to fill out the daily focuser. And initially, if you just want to focus on really getting this built in as a habit, maybe just focus on that middle part as a starting place, the identifying your top three objectives each day. But blocking out, the first thing in the morning, when you first sit down, have a blank, daily focuser already printed out, sitting on your desk, and spend 5 or 10 minutes and fill it out. You will see, I know that you will see dramatic results if you do that right away, because you're spending a little bit of time planning out what you would like your day to look like and what are the most and highest priorities that you have for that day. And one of the things that it does is, we're all busy every day and we're all doing a million different things every day, and we could be doing a million other things. But oftentimes, we get to the end of the day and we look back and we say, I know I was busy all day, but I really couldn't point to one or two things that I did. The daily focuser helps you get really clear with yourself on what your priorities are for that day, so that at the end of the day, you can look at your daily focuser, you can look back and say, this is what I identified as my top priorities today, and I accomplished them. And so you can start seeing the things that you're actually doing. Another great component of the daily focuser is your top three delegations. If you do have staff, you can actually do this, and builds an extra layer of accountability. You can actually do your daily focuser with your key assistant, and during that short meeting, let them know what your top three delegations are for that day. I actually really like my clients to not only use the daily focuser themselves, but have their staff start using it too. And there is a staff version of the daily focuser that has different, a different checklist and different tasks. But the core component of it, which is identifying your top three objectives, remains the same. Let me just click here. So it's just a bigger version of the daily focuser. I'll just pause for a minute and see if there's any questions on this form. It can be just this one time management strategy. If you're that person that goes through the day and at the end of the day you're not even sure what happened or how it happened or what you did, this one tool can really have a big impact on your time and focus management. And again, Abby will put these two forms in the chat, and they'll be available for download as well. And we're really only talking about 5 to 15 minutes of planning time for your day, right? That's really all we're asking here. But even that small investment into pre-planning and identifying what your top goals are for the day pays big dividends. Great. So another strategy, which we kind of touched on a little bit, is question batching. So, when we were talking about the power hour, I mentioned setting up a short, 15-minute meeting with your staff right before the power hour. That is basically kind of in alignment with this idea of question batching. The question batching is simply the idea that rather than, if you have staff, rather than having your staff just have total and open access to you at any time during the day, and coming to you with questions throughout the day, to take all those questions and have a specific designated time where your staff has access to you to come with questions. And so, in my experience, normally two different designated times can be helpful throughout the day. If you're doing the power hour, one would be right before the power hour, and then you could have one later in the day as well. But it just gives your staff the opportunity to come to you at a designated time. And you can read here, it does a couple different things. It eliminates that lurk and blurt type of thing where, somebody, if you're back in a physical office where they're just waiting to catch you and then, spring whatever the question is on you. This eliminates that kind of tactic that your staff may employ. It helps clarify the thinking for your staff and drives them to proposing solutions rather than just coming to you immediately with any problem, because they have to wait, potentially 2 to 4 hours before they have that designated time to bring their question to you. And you might be surprised what they come up with on their own in those 2 to 4 hours in terms of solutions, and maybe don't even have a question for you at the end of the day, depending on the situation. So question batching is just a great strategy to employ to eliminate, interruptions throughout the day. You can think of it in terms of the numbers, right? If you have, even if you just have one staff person and they ask you on average, 10 questions a day, and that may be low, but let's say they ask you 10 questions a day. If you designate 2 different times throughout the day where they can come to you and batch their questions and then bring them at those 2 times, you just went from 10 unscheduled interruptions to your day to 2 scheduled appointments where you're answering questions and that's on your calendar. And those type of things can make a big difference. So very good. Let's go through the last of this quickly. So strategies, a couple basics, strategies for self-interrupters, which a lot of us are. One is when you go, and these all apply to your power hour, especially when you go into your power hour, the idea is for it to be totally uninterrupted. So, turn off notifications. If you don't need to be in your email during your power hour, just shut your email, software down. Work totally offline. Like if you use Outlook, there is a setting where you can just go offline so you won't be getting new emails throughout your power hour. I like on the phone, I prefer just to put it away and put it in a drawer so you can't even see it. But if you can't get there yet, you can at least snooze your notifications, use the do not disturb feature, which allows you to eliminate 99% of any incoming notifications or phone calls, but you can still designate with do not disturb on your phone that certain people, like, a spouse could call, or a school, if there's an emergency, that type of thing. Focusme.com is just one extra tool you could look at. Basically you set pre-designated restrictions on your own access to different, things and apps, and on your desktop as well. So very good. Just a couple strategies to help you go into the power hour and not be interrupted by yourself. So good. I'll pause there. I know we're almost out of time, and I'll just see if there's any questions. We'll give you a few 30 seconds to post a question or raise your hand. Okay, not seeing anything. So, one, I want to thank everybody for being here. I know your time is incredibly valuable, and so appreciate you being here with us today. And if you do have any questions offline, you're welcome to email myself or Abby. And we do have a special offer for you as well today. There's a really fantastic longer webinar coming up called Growth Strategies for Profitability. It's normally, I think it's $99. And if you sign up, you can use this code TIME50 and get 50% off that webinar. That's taking place virtually like this, but again, a longer webinar. It's 90 minutes on November 18th. And so if you're interested in that, you can check it out on the website, or you can click on this link and use that special offer, TIME50, to get that half off code. Very good. Well, again, thank you everybody for being here. And again, these forms are in the chat and they'll be available for download as well. And have a great day, everyone.